Oh, would you look at that? What a weird-looking race that is. So odd. So... If you saw the end of the last part, you know I'm attempting this joke again. Making fun of the fact that, there are some people that joke, why would you want to play a human in a fantasy game when you have all these other, creative, interesting races that you could play, and of all things you could pick to play, you pick a human. The thing that we are in real life. It's just that kind of perception and that some people have. So that's kind of the joke that I'm trying to play up here. So anyways, we are now switching over to see some of the starting zones for the Alliance, starting with, of course, the most dominant, feared, and dangerous of all the possible races that... Yeah, humans.
Emboldened by the return of their heroic king, Varian Wrynn, the proud humans of Stormwind led the Alliance to victory in its war against the dreaded Lich King. While successful, the campaign in Northrend proved costly, and the humans now seek to bolster their strategic holdings throughout the world. Under Varian's daring leadership, humanity now braces itself for a renewed conflict with its perennial enemy, the Horde. Yet, as the great cataclysm rips across the world, familiar threats have once again arisen closer to home. It now falls to you to defend the kingdom and uphold the honor of humanity.
Alright, so, first things first. Set up the blocks. Block things, block everything. I'm serious, by the way. Like, the thing, so... Elwyn has a bit of a reputation. Especially when we get to Goldshire. Goldshire is one of the... After a few years... Could somebody invite me and a friend, both currently starter accounts, to a group? Aww. That's adorable. So as I was saying... Goldshire is one of the more infamous areas in the history of the game because that is... How do I put this? It's a gathering spot for players, and a lot of times they just like to duel and just hang out and such, and do other things that, well, are not... Let's just say that there's a reason why sometimes we say stay clear of Goldshire. Which reminds me, I probably should also get out of those chat channels. Especially general. There we go. Yeah, I should probably start getting to work. Say hello to the one and only mage that we're going to be doing in this playthrough. In case the name isn't obvious, I tried to model him after one of my favorite characters, Khadgar, because Khadgar is awesome. Found a hairstyle that I thought was the closest. His hairstyle is not actually available. But I thought, yeah, let's go ahead and have a mage thrown in here. I don't know if we're going to stick with just Frost or if we're going to switch over to Arcane. Haven't really decided yet. I think I'm considering just staying with Frost because historically speaking, Frost has been one of the go-to specs for a very long time. Like since the days of Vanilla, you would level as Frost mainly because the first couple of raids, Molten Core and Blackwing Lair, had a lot of fire immunity, so there was no reason to go fire. Arcane was not worth doing back in Vanilla, as a lot of people who did play Vanilla back in the day would tell you. The two specs that you would usually go with in Vanilla for a mage were Frost and Fire. But because Molten Core and Blackwing Lair had a lot of fire immunities, you had to stick with Frost, basically. Until we then got to, places such as Ahn'Qiraj, and then they were able to switch over to Fire because it just scaled better. And you were able to do a lot of, nice crit damage back in the day. So, we'll, of course, stick with Ambassador. So, anyways. So, yeah. Humans. By the way, this is also not just an area for Goldshire for that, but it also has a reputation for being... This is one of those starter zones where you would, back in the day... This is really... Fortunately, this is not really an issue anymore, really. It's really not really a problem anymore these days. But how many of you know of what used to be called gold sellers? This is one of those starter zones where you would see people create characters just to spam links to sites where they would encourage you to go to their virus-filled website and purchase gold for this game with real money. And then they would when you would do that, they would then be able to hack their way into your account, steal your account, and then use your account to be able to do some... transferring of gold and such. And yeah, it was a very some of the worst kind of people that would do stuff like that. It was horrible. And fortunately we were able to report stuff like that. We couldn't really do that the way it's handled in Vanilla. I know because it came back in Classic and it was a problem there once again, which is why Blizzard then started adding this. To be able to purchase WoW tokens to get yourself gold. These days it's 121,000 gold for $20. Now, obviously this is a big, this is one of those controversial things because this is one of those kinds of microtransactions where you spend real money to get in-game gold. And while it's a practice that usually I and other players would be against, because of this circumstance with the situation, circumstances around it, with all the gold selling and everything, I'm completely behind this being available here, that Blizzard is the one selling you the gold because they are the ones that you can be able to trust to make this kind of purchase compared to the alternative, which is far worse. Because the alternative risks you having not only your account stolen, but possibly even worse, because what's to stop hackers like that from hacking your computer and hacking other personal information? So, like I said, it's really not that much of a problem anymore these days, but if you ever see people spamming links to gold selling sites, do your job and report them. Just right-click on the name of the player who is spamming that in the chat. You can be able to right-click and be able to go to report. Obviously, you can't do that. Like, I could go here, go here, report player for spamming. And it goes to a dedicated team that constantly is checking stuff like that and keeping their eye on it. Like I said, it's really not that much of a problem anymore, but as far as I know, it can still happen. It's rare, but it does still happen, and this zone is one of the more common zones for it to happen, along with the Orc starter zone. So, Baby Winston! I have Baby Winston too. Alright, let's get ourselves going here. Start working on the heirlooms. Like I probably said before, cloth classes have a very simple amount of of heirlooms that they can use here. Okay. Okay. Boop, 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 bump, 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 bump. There we go. Alright. Alright, so, get that flashing out of the way. There we go. That's right, I also have to set up my bars. Auto loot. Action bars out here. There we go. Alright. So, from what I have seen, especially having gone through the starter zone in Classic, because I did try out a human paladin in WoW Classic, so I went through the entire Elwyn Forest starting zone in Classic. From what I could tell, a lot of the quests themselves, in terms of their structure and such, are basically the same, but the story is different, because, well, we're dealing with the Cataclysm, while the story is a little different, because back in vanilla, there was a storyline that was going on right off the bat here in the human starting zone, where you would start things off, where you were dealing with a group called the Defias. And the reason for that was because of someone that was in Stormwind at the time, and that was this woman by the name of Lady Prestor, aka Onyxia, as well as a certain somebody by the name of Nefarian, or Lord... Gosh, what was his humanoid name? Victor Nefarious, I believe it was? Yeah. So, we're usually, like in this area, you'll notice certain enemies that we deal with. Some are Blackrock Orcs, which are basically the forces. You'll see, look how close, this is Elwyn Forest, this is Stormwind, and then right over here, over this mountain, is Blackrock Mountain. Like, it's, like, just to, again, show you, this is Stormwind right here, Blackrock Mountain's right here. It's literally just right next to each other. So let's just say that Nefarian and Onyxia and the Blackrock Orc forces and such that serve them were literally right next door to the humans in Stormwind. So of course they were going to be causing some issues, especially because Prestor was in disguise and undercover, as it were. But yeah, that whole entire storyline that was actually going on in vanilla basically starts right here at the beginning of the human starting zone. At least that's how it was in vanilla. We'll be going to see how different it is with the humans dealing with the Cataclysm. And basically, I'm just going to be going through Elwyn Forest here. You can continue into Westfall if you want, but I decided that for this playthrough, we're just going to stick with Elwyn Forest and just go through here. So anyways, let's just start things off here.
What can I do for you?
So, you're the new recruit from Stormwind, eh? I'm Marshal McBride, commander of this garrison. Glad to have you on board. Papaneeks. It is Papaneeks, right? You've arrived just in time. The Blackrock Orcs have managed to sneak into Northshire through a break in the mountain. My soldiers are doing the best that they can to push them back, but I fear that they will be overwhelmed soon. Head northwest into the forest and kill the attacking Blackrock wargs. Help my soldiers.
Be careful.
6 wargs. So yeah, very simple stuff here. Once again, as like in other tutorial zones, the enemies here are yellow, not red. Because, of course, you're kind of just getting your bearings here, especially if you're new to the game or if you are just getting back into it. You may want to have a bit of a reminder on certain things in terms of how it works, so you don't want to have a ton of hostile enemies just bearing down on you the entire time. So, there's another mage there. Yeah, human mage is definitely a popular. In fact, there's a number of, human class combinations. So the thing is, humans, I joked earlier about humans. The thing is, humans is actually one of the more popular races of the game, as funny as that may sound. But that's partly because they have some pretty good racials that actually entice you to play them. So let's talk about this. First off, they have an activatable, which is actually pretty good. It's called Every Man for Himself. It removes all stun effects. So if there are certain stuns you want to deal with, this obviously can be critical in late game stuff. So that is the thing. I find it hilarious that the only language they know is Common. Very funny and ironic. They have a racial passive called the Human Spirit. You gain 2% more of all secondary stats, haste, critical strike, mastery, and versatility from all sources. So this may not be a big deal now, but when you get to late game stuff, 2% more of your secondary stats like those, that can be pretty nice, especially depending on like what class you play, what kind of gear you have that emphasizes certain stats. It's a pretty nice passive in that regard. Alright, that's for mage stuff. Diplomacy. Reputation gains increase by 10%. Many people will pick humans just to work on reputation grinds. There are players who will pick humans just because they know about some of the reputation grinds that happen later on, and they want to play a human when they do that because, well, they want to do it faster and get 10% more rep, which does go hand in hand with some of the other times you'll have certain events that will emphasize extra reputation. You know, like Emissary Week, for example. So, anyways. Let's get to work on taking down more of these wargs. Every time I see, every time I hear warg, I always think of the Two Towers. You know, Lord of the Rings. Send out your warg riders, because that's basically what these are. Also, behold, one of the strengths of being a frost mage this early on in the game: Frostbolt's mighty power to add a slow, chilled. This is one of the reasons why a lot of people. Why Mage has been one of the most popular classes in the history of the game. It's been that way since Vanilla. In Vanilla, Mage was one of the best and most popular and strongest classes in the game because, as guys like Preach have put it, they had a number of things that could actually counter a lot of the flaws that Vanilla WoW had. And I know someone's just freaking out. How dare I say that Vanilla WoW had any flaws? Because there are some that think it's the most perfect thing ever created. Which just makes me roll my eyes or just facepalm to no end. But anyways. By the way, for a mage, look at the guns that my human has. But then again, all human males have arms this big, apparently. Regardless of what class you are.
King's honor, friend.
You've bought us a little time, but we've got even bigger problems to deal with now. The invading orcs aren't fools. They are sizing us up, making sure that that when they attack, it will be to their advantage. In the forest in the northwest are Blackrock spies. They peer at us through spyglasses, watching our every move, waiting. I want you to take the fight to them. Kill the Blackrock spies. We must show them that we know they are watching us, and that we are prepared.
Go with honor.
We are prepared. So this is another interesting way that they have changed this. They give you Frostbolt and Fire Blast, just in case you're wanting to kind of get a feel. Let's say, for example, you're someone who's trying out a mage for the very first time. You've never tried it before, and you're curious about it. So you start getting a mixture of abilities. So later on, we'll get Frost Nova, Polymorph. We don't really get... So I find it funny that Fire Blast is here. Now, this will change later on. When we get to level 10, I believe this will actually change to a different Frost ability. And then we'll be able to, of course, switch to either Arcane, which we can then either be able to pick up abilities like Arcane Barrage and Arcane Blast. If we go to Fire, we can be able to get Fireball and Critical Mass, and then later on Pyroblast. So, anyways. And it's something that I've been messing with. So I have one max level mage right now, and I have two others that I've been leveling with. Trying out like one per spec. Like my max level is Fire. And it's fun. I enjoy fire a lot. And I have been leveling one with one of my allied races that is an Arcane mage. And it's fun, and it does a lot of damage. It's just extremely mana hungry. In fact, it's probably one of the only classes or specs that at a lot of times will just feel more mana hungry than anything else. And then there's Frost, where early on it's not bad, but then later on, if you're trying to do more damage, you at times are wishing you could do more, and then you start to look and realize that some of the really good stuff to really do like big time crit damage and such is just not really, you don't really have it yet. Like, you have to wait until you get some of the really good stuff later on, like Frozen Orb and Glacial Spike, that can just do awesome damage. And I think an even more upgraded version of Blizzard. But this early on, you know, basically just, especially if you're just soloing the game as a mage, and you're not wanting to deal with that much, and you're wanting to kind of slow things down and kite enemies around, Frost is definitely a good way to go to be able to constantly apply that chilling effects. Because as you saw, when I hit them with Fire Blast, they just immediately started coming for me, and they took a lot of damage, but they weren't slowed. But when I hit them with Frostbolt, they had their movement speed reduced, and it took them a lot longer to get to me. Which, when you're playing a ranged, squishy class like a mage, that's a big deal. That's like a very big positive.
Greetings.
Excellent work, Papaneeks. You've turned out to be quite an asset to this garrison. It's time for you to train. I received an urgent message from Sergeant Willem, not Wilhelm. No, Willem. Turns out that the Blackrock Orcs have hired goblin assassins. They ambushed our battalion behind the abbey. Willem has asked me to send him a hero. You have to go help them, Papaneeks. Find Sergeant Willem north of the abbey at the command tent. Go.
Light bless you.
So I should show you the building he's standing in front of. So this is the Northshire Abbey. This is the building in Classic where you would go in here to meet up your trainers. Now, I will say, like, having now experienced the starter zones for both Retail WoW and Classic WoW, it does feel like for example, here's the Mage Trainer. So in Classic, this is where I would go to be able to acquire certain spells. I would certainly have to have money. In fact, I believe it was Preach who said that back in Vanilla, spells was one of the biggest money sinks in the entire game. The problem was that getting money in Vanilla was insanely hard. It wasn't like you had this overabundance of money and you had nothing to spend it on. Because you... it would take forever for you to actually make any money back in the day. So while it was a sink that you would look at and you go, I have no money to spend any of that on. Compared to, say, Diablo 3, where you can have tons and tons and tons of gold, but you have these other sinks that kind of go hand in hand with it. So it's one of the reasons why I've agreed and been in defense of Diablo 3 as one of the more better designed games that has ever been made. So there is one thing you can do as a mage from the trainer in Retail WoW, though, and that's still pick up the Arcane Momentum technique. Arcane Momentum is a technique that allows a mage to use their physical momentum to dictate the direction of their blink spell, rather than the basic technique of blinking in the direction that you're facing.
Or the Alliance.
We won't bother with that, especially since we don't even have blink yet, so. But, like, in Classic, you would walk up here and you would go there so I could be able to try and spend, if I had like a little bit of silver or copper, I would go to him so I could be able to spend it, so I could be able to actually get some other abilities I could actually be able to use, or get an upgraded version of Frostbolt, since there were ranks to spells. There used to be ranks to spells back in the game, and they would cost a lot more. What's funny is that I've heard many people say that they never use the ranked up spells because they cost way too much mana, because if you cast one rank 3 spell, for example, you were and you then had to AFK for like 5 seconds or so and just watch your mana refill before you could actually cast anything again. So you would like build up stuff that would either increase your mana or your mana regen, and you would only cast your rank 1 spell because they cost less mana. You did less damage, but it was costing less mana, and therefore you were able to cast more often. Yeah, that was the thing back then. I know this is going to upset some people, but I say thank goodness that's no longer a thing.
You need something?
Sorry, but I prefer the way it is now. I prefer actually getting to cast my abilities instead of having to sit AFK for several seconds just to be able to actually play the game. Sorry, but that's not fun to me. It's true, we were ambushed. I don't dare send any more soldiers out there and risk losing them too. I need a volunteer, someone who is willing to risk their life. Have you ever seen a goblin, Papaneeks? They are wretched little green-skinned monsters that love only two things, gold and themselves. Get ready to hear a number of things that sound incredibly horrible towards horde races, quote-unquote. Some of which you could probably say are borderline racist, because racism, well, let's just say it's a common thing that you kind of take notice of in the Alliance. Just saying. The Blackrock Orcs have enlisted the aid of goblin assassins to kill our soldiers. If you look to the field on the north, you can barely make out their silhouettes sneaking about in the grass. I need you to head out there and kill every goblin that you see. They need to learn that nobody messes with the Alliance.
Good day to you.
Brother Paxton, have you embraced the holy light yet, brother? No, because I'm playing a mage this time and not a priest or a paladin. It is through the holy light that we are saved. It is through the holy light that I am able to heal these overly demanding soldiers. And it is through the holy light that you will be able to venture out into the field to the north and rescue our fallen brothers. Let me say this again. I'm a mage, not a priest. Stop noticing that I'm wearing cloth and mistaking me for a priest. Take this prayer book with you into the field and cast the light's healing touch on the injured. What? I'm a mage that can heal?
Safe travel.
This is amazing! Seriously though, I've been saying that they need to add a fourth spec for, not just for mages, for every class, but they need to add another spec, including for mages, that's a healing spec. I saw someone make a whole, it was basically like an essay or a thesis, outlining what they thought should be the fourth or the extra spec for each class. And for mage, he outlined that they should have a healing spec. And the way he went into great detail of how it should be worked and designed, especially from a lore perspective, that it should be via time magic, which I thought made a lot of sense. The idea of learning time magic from Chromie and the other bronze dragons, and then using that to heal. And I know that some other people that have been saying like the same thing, that they think that's actually a great idea. Adding the, being able to add the capability to mages to be able to actually heal. That would be amazing. Like, just think of the added versatility and value that mages would get if they then had the ability to cast a heal with a fourth spec. Or even be a whole healing spec.
I need the target.
Like, from a perspective of the way he put it with the lore and such, I thought, man, that is excellent. And he went to great detail about it. And I thought, man, that is some really awesome thinking there. Don't mind me, Gob. I'm just going to walk right past you.
What can I do for you?
I think you now understand the power of the light. The light giveth hope, brother, and the light taketh from the darkness. Blessed be the light. Oh, man. This is really funny. If certain things that I have heard about that may be coming later on, especially with some of the hints we've gotten from within both Legion and BFA, as well as what I've been hearing is going to happen in Shadowlands, it makes this stuff like Blessed Be the Light kind of, well, I think I should probably just stop.
See you later. Hey there.
That will teach those monsters. They'll think twice before taking any other mercenary job for orcs. Excellent work, Papaneeks. The rear is now officially clear. We'll take care of the stragglers. I want you to go back to Marshal McBride, standing in front of Northshire Abbey, south of here, and let him know that the goblin situation is under control. Farewell, mate.
Have a good one.
Now, you could probably guess that being a mage, I would probably... You know, this is not like... Warcraft does... The way their setting works, it's not like it is in Dragon Age, for example, where if my character was discovered to be a mage, he would be sent off to the circle, you know, because of all the stuff with the, you know, with mages and the Templars and all that stuff. Yeah. Oh, and the Chantry. Of course, we can't forget about the Chantry. In Warcraft, though, it's not really like that. Because the thing is, magic and arcane is so commonplace that it's just like, you know, it's just accepted as completely common, just part of the everyday life, where it should be taken extremely seriously, but it's just so common that you just kind of don't even think it's a big deal anymore. You know, like, it's more likely like my character would have been part of the Kirin Tor growing up, kind of like how Khadgar used to be, and would have been sent here to help out, because he's a mage who would have been studying under the Kirin Tor.
Well met.
With your help, we have managed to secure the northern and western sectors of Northshire. We still have a rather large contingency of Blackrock orcs to the east, and they have begun burning down the forest. The orcs have begun burning down the forest, Papaneeks. They've taken over the vineyard to the east and are planning their final assault against us. They must be stopped. Head east across the river and kill the rampaging Blackrock orcs. Collect their weapons as proof of their demise, and return to me. You're our only hope.
Bless you.
Hello, Millie.
You need something?
Times like these make me long for when the Defias were still around. Really? The Cataclysm has opened a pathway from the burning steppes, and now Blackrock orcs pour into Northshire Valley. They've taken over my vineyard and are burning it to the ground. To the ground! Please, Papaneeks, that vineyard is all that I have. Take my fire extinguisher and extinguish the flames at the vineyard. There still might be hope for that land.
Have a good one.
That's a little pack for the fire extinguisher on my back here. Really cute. That's the thing that they have here. You'll notice other trainers out here, like the Hunter Trainer and such. So, other trainers over here, like the Warlock Trainer, for example, along with the Demon Trainer. And this makes perfect sense. As we have seen in a number of starter zones, the Warlock Trainer tends to be hidden away in the back because, well, Warlocks are not very, accepted in society. So, of course, she's hidden in the back there in the graveyard.
I don't have a target.
Oof. Dang, again, we're already level 6.
I need to target something first.
Okay, let's actually focus on the fires, and we'll just kind of take care of some of them that are nearby when that happens. There are times where Mage is just a complete blast to play. No pun intended. Where it's just a lot of fun. Eat you! Wait, what? You want to eat me? What? Oh, that reminds me, I forgot to set up our chauffeur. Stormwind Royal Guard. Not surprising, Stormwind is like right over there.
Hello.
Oh, bless your heart, Papaneeks. You truly are a hero of the Alliance. Though the land is completely incinerated and there's nothing left of the vineyard but ash and debris, I still might be able to recover, right? I mean, how bad can it be? Yeah.
Safe travels.
Well, at least we got a bag out of that.
Need help?
Blackrock Orcs will surely fall now that their main force has been defeated. Only one task remains. The rampaging orc horde is led by a savage beast known as Kurtok the Slayer. Kurtok is responsible for the recent invasion and must be killed if we are to have peace in the valley. Venture back east across the river and through the vineyard, and look for the passage leading into the mountains. Kurtok will be there, preparing for another assault. Kill him, and return to me.
Go with honor, friend.
Yes, sir. Just as a reminder, these orcs are part of the Blackrock clan in Blackrock Mountain. They are not associated with the Horde at all. They are leftovers from the demonic horde that first invaded back in Warcraft 1 and 2 that were under the influence of the demonic corruption from the Burning Legion, and have basically been staying here because Blackrock Mountain was one of the sites where the big battle between them took place. So, in fact, I believe that is where Lothar himself fell in battle, and Turalian ended up becoming the new leader for the human forces. Notice how long it's taking him to actually try and reach me because of how much I'm slowing him. That's not really something that will continue to take place in later high-level gameplay, as usually a number of them will just kind of brush that off, and your slow won't be as impactful. But here early on in the game, it's pretty nice and pretty effective. Which, like I said, is one of the reasons why in the early game, Frostmage was considered pretty good for kiting around enemies to be able to keep yourself alive and just continue to, do continuous damage while keeping them slowed.
Well met.
With Kurtok slain, we are safe once again from the orcish hordes. I will send peasants to the pass in an attempt to seal the passage so that no more orcs may come through and into our territory. You have the thanks of Stormwind and of the Alliance, hero. Take that, just sell it. Papaneeks, you are a mage with proven interest in the security of Northshire. You are now tasked with the protection of the surrounding Elwyn Forest. If you accept this duty, then I have prepared papers that must be delivered to Marshal Duggan in Goldshire. Dugan? I'll just say Duggan. Goldshire lies along the southern road, past the border gates. Yep.
For the Alliance.
I noticed that I saluted him just now. Like, yes, sir. And he said, you are dismissed. Yes, sir. And then we make the trip through the gates over here, down towards Goldshire. You will more than likely see a lot of max level players here. You may even see some various different things. It's one of the reasons why I left general chat. So I'm going to see if I can actually try and make that even better, because now we're in here. Alright, let's see. Can I make sure I am not in... Nope. I can't get out of trade chat. Maybe I can. I can't tell. Whatever. It's probably only if I go to Stormwind. But anyways.
How are you?
Every adventurer should rest when exhaustion sets in, and there's no finer place to get rest and relaxation than at the Lion's Pride Inn. My best friend Innkeeper Farley runs the Lion's Pride. If you tell him I sent you, he may give you the special discounted rates on food and drink. To find the Lion's Pride Inn, travel south along the road from here. You can't miss it. And for doing this, you also get bracers. Keep in mind we don't have bracers on at the moment, so you're basically getting a free piece of gear to fill out a slot. So now we head down the road. There it is. Yeah, going through this place on foot in Classic running around this entire area on foot in Classic, oh my gosh. I was just like, It was like, run over here. Now run to the complete other side. Now run to the complete other side again. Ew. Yep. Oh, by the way, it's also because the Darkmoon Faire is up, so this is where you go to enter the Darkmoon Faire on Alliance side, or at least one of the locations. So, anyways. So yeah, this is one of those times where it's a little popular to actually come here to Goldshire.
What can I do for you?
And it's a good thing I left general chat, because who knows what is being discussed in that chat right now. Some of the most vile things you could probably think of. You have word from McBride? Northshire is a garden compared to Elwyn Forest, but I wonder what Marshal McBride has to report. Here, let me have this papers. Oh, I just realized I can actually read these. Hold on. Report. Kobolds. The activity of kobolds has decreased in Northshire Valley. All kobolds were driven off by the rampaging Blackrock orcs. That's one of the reasons why we're not dealing with kobolds there anymore, like we did in vanilla. Blackrock orcs. An invasion force of Blackrock orcs has emerged in the valley. This attack seems to be a precursor to something far more insidious. Warn Magistrate Solomon of Lakeshire. Oh my gosh, I know I can read. Commendation. The bearer of these documents is to be awarded deputy status with the Stormwind Army, having served Northshire with eagerness and distinction. I am confident you will find this person useful in Elwyn Forest. Signed, Marshal Douglas McBride, Stormwind Army, Northshire.
Light be with you.
Well, it says here that you have been awarded acting deputy status with the Stormwind Marshals. Congratulations, and good luck. Keeping Elwyn safe is no picnic. Well, with most of the army busy doing who knows what for who knows which noble. It's hard to keep track of politics in these dark days. No kidding.
Light bless you. King's honor, friend.
The mine in Northshire isn't the only one with problems. I have reports that the far Go Deep mine in Elwyn has also become a haven for kobolds. Explore the mine and confirm these reports, and then return to me. The mine is almost due south of Goldshire, between the Stonefield and McClure homesteads.
Go with honor, friend.
So, I actually want to share something with you guys. This little area right here was extremely, a place that I would go to quite often, and is a pretty popular place. Why?
You need something?
Well, if you're playing, say, a paladin, for example, you kept wanting to come here because...
King's honor.
Well, I mean, if I'm playing a plate class, to me the idea of actually, playing... Did I just get rid of the boots?
What can I do for you?
Yeah, but those are the other boots. Never mind. So anyways.
For the Alliance. I supply only the finest...
Like, to me, the idea of being a paladin doing blacksmithing so I could be able to make better plate armor and such, just kind of, fit in my mind. So let's just say I came over to this area a lot, which also, and considering that also both the Paladin Trainer and the Warrior Trainer were here, it was just kind of a very common place I came to when I was messing around with my human Paladin in WoW Classic. So here it is, the Lion's Pride Inn, one of the more well-known locations. Ew! Giant spider mount. Blah! Anyways. This is one of the more famous locations in the history of the game. Like, there's so much stuff that has been done here, and been shown here, and been made here. Like, this place has been seen a lot in many different things, like videos and parodies and such. This has been a very, very common location, very well-known location. This, of course, is the first call board, but we're not level 10 yet. And of course, here is the first Innkeeper, which we can bound our Hearthstone to. Rest and relaxation for the tired and cold. That's our motto. Please, take a seat by the fire and rest your weary bones. Would you like to try a sampling of our fine food and drink?
Safe travels.
Well, yes, I would also like to take those bracers. Thank you. Oh, we got a pumpkin and some water. Some pumpkins and some water. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Since I'm a mage, I will need that water. At least I would have back in vanilla. Take a seat by the fire, and yet you can't sit in any of these seats. Come on, I've always hated this. Let us sit in these seats near the fire. Let me have a seat right here where I can just sit here and just kind of, look into the fire while relaxing. Come on. Not enough. There's too many chairs in here that you can't sit in. You can sit in these chairs, but you can't sit in those. You can't sit in those. I mean, you can sit in these. But, all right. This might be the closest one right here. Like, yes. All right. I think I'm just going to take a moment to just sit here, relax after dealing with those orcs. Probably take a nap or something. Just relax a bit. And then we shall continue our journey in Elwyn Forest when we return. Stay tuned.